What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another book review with your boy Siraj, aka Third Eye Fry, aka Boy Cyberbully. Today we are going to be reviewing The White Tiger by Aravind Adiga. This book was the winner of the Man Booker Prize in 2008, and I have to say it is well deserved. What I like about this book is it's really well written, it's easy to read, super concise. I read it when I was traveling India, and I have to say that it does a really good job illustrating the various walks of life that are present in that land of 1 billion people. So let's get to it. This book, the pervading themes about it seem to be regarding success and what it takes to get to your version of success and what sacrifices you have to make to get there. The book starts off with our main character, Balaram, and it starts with him writing letters to a famous or a big Chinese politician or businessman. I don't quite remember which of the two it was, but it's him writing to him about what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in India. And then it, I guess, flashbacks to Balaram's early life. And in this early life, he's in rural India in a relatively poor village. And you get a kind of feel of what it's like in this village and who runs the town and the politics of it. The town itself is run by 4 families, and each family has a boss dude, and they're like the boar and the stork, and the boar has like little big teeth, their big teeth right there, or like little curved teeth, and the stork has like a long nose. So you kind of get the feeling of like, oh, this is gonna be like a video game. Balaram's gonna have to take on these bosses before he becomes the big honcho, the head honcho. And it's funny because the book's called The White Tiger, so it kind of gives a sense of the spirit that he has in him to take on these forces. But the book doesn't quite go the way I thought it would, in the sense that it slowly, or in its way, transitions to Balaram working for one of these families, and he becomes a driver for a famous or a big politician slash businessman. The line's kind of blurred there, more of a businessman, I suppose. And he starts driving for him, and his name's Mr. Ashok. And through his travels with Mr. Ashok, you really start to get an understanding of the politics behind India as a whole, from the big cities to the small towns. And you get to see various walks of life being demonstrated at the same time. For example, Balaram will go to drop Mr. Ashok either at a mall or off to bribe some politician, and in between he's kicking it with the drivers, who are the more hood people. They're more savvy to the street culture. So he's getting kind of various input and introspect from various people from various walks of life. And it really translates to a pretty informative narrative. I remember reading a line from this book that stood out to me while I was still reading it. And I was reading it to my older brother. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool, this line. And I go, "The story of a poor man's life is written on his body in a sharp pen." And I found that relatively, very true to Indian culture, where you can really kind of see almost the caste in which someone's born by the marks on their skin from the hard labor. And the hard labor in India gets pretty crazy, whether it's pulling a cart up a Himalayan mountain or doing construction. It gets pretty intense. So I remember reading that line. I'll read it again. "The story of a poor man's life is written on his body in a sharp pen." And my brother instantly goes, "Sounds like this book is some socialist propaganda." And that's how the way my brother thinks. He likes to think of like the politics behind everything. And I was immediately like, dude, you are looking at this at such a surface level. And I wanted to say more, but the reality of it is I didn't know because I wasn't done reading the book at the time. So there is this purveying theme of politics that goes throughout it. The struggles between socialism, a socialist society, a communist society, capitalist society, what it takes to succeed in each of these. And though that's a theme in the book, I think it's more of a sub theme, very low key. It's not really, the book's more about just one man's journey to success at that phase of his life. I will say though that probably the climax of the book, the thing where the part where everything shifts has to, and without spoiling anything, it has to do with Balaram finally, I guess, making a transition from one political ideology into the other. And it's a very important moment in the book, and it's cool. It's cool. I don't want to spoil anything. So overall, I would say this book is a fantastic read. I do highly recommend it. It is a really good tale, and it's really well written. Now, in terms of novels about Indian culture, Hindu culture, politics in India, I'd probably say there's two other novels that I would recommend more than this, but that's not to say it's a good book. I could say the two I'd recommend would probably be, number one, Gates of Fire by Elwyn Chamberlain, I believe, and Shantaram by Gregory. I forgot his last name. I think his name is Gregory. Both of those kind of, I think I like how it captures the spirit of India, and I like the story they tell more than this. But as I said, this isn't a bad book by any stretch. In fact, it's very good. I think it's deserved its winning prize, and I hope this review is helpful. And if it was, consider giving a like and subscribe down below, and I hope to see you soon. Peace out.